What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another YouTube video. So just finished up an easy 8-mile run. Put the stats up on the screen for that. 8 miles, average heart rate, a little bit higher than I'd like, but 140 beats per minute. 8:12 pace, an hour and 5 minutes, 42 seconds, 917 calories. Elevation gain, 396 feet. Good way to start off the day. Have a lot more training sessions left today. After I finish up this week, I'll be 2 weeks out from Ironman 70.3 Waco. Super excited, about to get into the taper here pretty soon, starting next week. But in this video, what I'm gonna be going over is all the gear and equipment you need to do your first triathlon. So I'm gonna talk about minimal gear, and I'm also gonna talk about some stuff that may help enhance your performance, and if you're actually seeking a specific time goal, what may benefit you in regards to that. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is the run. We're going to work in reverse order here throughout this video. So since I just got done running, first thing we're going to talk about is the run, then we'll go into the bike after I get done with my cycling workout, and then lastly we'll go into the swim, which is actually the first event in a triathlon. Now I'm going to cover the minimal gear from a triathlon standpoint, whether it's your first ever triathlon and it's a sprint, or all the way up to an Ironman 140.6. First thing for the run that you have to consider is your tri-suit. Right here, I have a generic tri-suit. Something that you have to consider about the tri-suit is you're going to be wearing this for the entire duration of your triathlon. So it needs to be something that is comfortable, something that you're okay to swim in, bike in, and run in. You also should practice swimming, biking, and running in that tri-suit because if you've never ran in a tri-suit before, especially with the pad for the cycling portion, it is a little bit different. Those can range anywhere from under $100 on Amazon for the cheapest to upwards of $450, $500 for something like Roca, an elite triathlon performance suit. Next thing we're going to talk about is running shoes. Now, which running shoes you go with is going to be personal preference and also budget. Everything on here is going to be budget. So for me, what I ran in this morning was the Mount the Coast. These are about $170, $180. These are really good training shoes. I like to run in these for a lot of my easy runs. They have no plates in them. You're not going to get any assistance, but they're comfortable for long durations. Another shoe that I'd recommend is something with a nylon plate. So the Saucony Endorphin Speeds have a nylon plate in them. These still run about $170, $180. You're going to get a little bit more pop out of these shoes. So you're going to have a little bit more performance than you would something like the Mount the Coast. You can go up to something like an Endorphin Pro with a carbon plate. This is going to give you a lot of pop. This does not have a lot of cushion, but you are going to have a lot of pop. You are going to be able to run faster. You have that mechanical advantage. And then our top tier running shoes currently on the market, as far as Saucony goes, is the Endorphin Elites. So these are the Endorphin Elite 2s. There's a carbon plate in there. There's nylon, a lot of cushion. And you really do feel the mechanical advantage with this. Similar shoes to this would be that Nike Alphafly or Vaporfly, and these are going to run upwards close to $300. It's really depending on your price range. Yes, are you going to be able to run faster in those? 100%. Stuff that I would recommend that you think about and consider when going into the run portion. A pair of socks. I like to run features. Now, I will be putting these on before the bike after the swim, so I won't need to worry about socks. These will already be on when I'm putting on my running shoes from being on the bike. Sunglasses can be really important. Keep the sun out of your eyes. You also just look cool, but I definitely would advise wearing sunglasses, especially if it's going to be super sunny. A hat. This is a BOGO hat and this is a Sealy hat. There's a bunch of different running performance, lightweight, fabric material hats out there. This is going to be good to keep sweat at a minimum dripping into your eyes and also keep the sun out of your face. That's something to consider. Now there's a bunch of different belts right now on the market. This one right here is specifically for triathlon. I believe I bought it for my first triathlon, and all it has is some pockets for gels right here, so if you want to have your gels prepped and ready to go, and then also it has a place right here for your bib. You're going to have to wear your bib on the bike and on the run portion. Traditionally, for something like a marathon, you can just pin it on with safety pins before you get to the start line. Triathlons require you to wear your bib on the back during the bike portion and on the front during the run portion. So something like this where you can just slip the bib onto these little strings right here. You can close it down. Your bib's gonna stay here. I can slide it around to the back on the bike, and I can pull it in front for the run. Other belts, like this belt that I bought for the Dallas BMW Marathon 2 years ago, this one has those same exact, but this also has a nice pocket for gels. Something that you can take a step further is something like a Nathan belt, where you actually have water bottles in there. And this may be something that you need to consider depending on the nutrition availability that is at the race that you are doing. This is pretty much everything that you have to consider for the run. I'll put the stats from this ride up here on the screen, but just finished 27.12 miles, went 90 minutes on the bike on Zwift, 18 miles per hour average speed, total ascent 2,326 feet, 187 average power output. Now moving on to the bike portion or cycling portion of a triathlon. It is the second discipline, so when you come out of the swim, you're gonna go to the corral, you're gonna find your bike, you're gonna get it, get everything that you need, and you're gonna move out onto the bike course. So the first thing that you're gonna need is a bike. Now, depending on what bike you have, it definitely will affect your performance. So you can have a lower end bike, anywhere from a little bit under $1,000. You can get them used to $15,000 is where some of these now, like Trek Speed Concepts, are running. This right here is just a Specialized LS, if I'm pronouncing that right, 54 centimeter. And this is a road bike. So it's definitely not designed specifically for triathlon, and I definitely would go faster on a triathlon bike with the same power output, but this is what we have. This is what we're gonna run with for the Ironman 70.3. Also, something to think about is some of these races will let you rent bikes. Even some races you probably can use a mountain bike, and you don't even have to have clip-in shoes like these right here for the clip-in pedals. Now, the second thing that you're gonna need is you're gonna need a helmet. There's a helmet that I just use for mountain biking, so I'm going to invest in another one. I have used it for cycling outside, but an approved cycling helmet you will need. These also can run under $100 on Amazon, up to $400+ depending on what you get, if it has a visor, if it's built for aero. Third thing that you're gonna have to have when you transition here is most races you're gonna have to have your race belt or your bib on the back of your tri-kit. So like I said, having a race belt is really important because you can already have it set up. As soon as you get there, clip it on, slide your bib to the back, and then you're off. That's pretty much the minimum that you need for the bike portion. Now, stuff that I would highly recommend that you have is your own nutrition strategy and plan in case the nutrition provided does not suffice, or you just can't get to where you need to get in time, and you miss an aid station, etc. Right here, I have 2 water bottle holders inside the frame. The A-frame is, depending on your bike, you can have hydration inside the frame itself. On certain tri-bikes, they have a water reservoir up here next to the aero bars. So I also have 2 water bottles back here behind my seat. I think Ironman's rules is you cannot have more than 2 water bottles both can't exceed 1 liter, so 2 liters of water back there. My bottles are within that limit. Important to have your own nutrition. Also a bicycle repair kit. As you can see here, I have 2 CO2 cartridges that are screwed in. With my bicycle repair kit here that I'm gonna have attached to the bike, I have this adapter. You screw the CO2 cartridge into it, and then if you get a flat, you replace the tube, which I have 2 spare tubes in here right now. You replace the tube, screw the CO2 into the adapter, into the valve, and air it up. So a bicycle repair kit is something that is important to consider because you don't know if the on-course support is always going to be there, how long it's going to take them to get to you, and some races you have to pay for that support. Some races don't have the support at all. Next thing that we're going to talk about, which I kind of already mentioned, was cycling shoes. So these are clip-ins right here, and these are specialized as well, clip into the pedals. Most road bikes will have these, and tri bikes. But something that you can do is you can go ahead and clip in your shoes while your bike's already staged, and then you can go ahead and tie this up, rubber band, something that's going to pop off as long as it's within the rules, and you can tie that up so then when you go and get your bike, your shoes aren't dragging on the ground because you're going to have to walk your bike until you can get on the bike course. Another thing, sunglasses we already talked about, socks. I will definitely be wearing socks. Some people opt to go without socks on the bike. Overall, what I recommend and what I'm going to have for my race is you're going to go ahead and have the tri-suit, you're going to have the bike, the helmet, the bike repair kit, nutrition, sunglasses, and that's about it, besides the race belt. Went 2,000 meters, had a couple of hard intervals in there, some easy effort. So I did some 25 easy, 75 hard, vice versa, 75 easy, 25 hard, 50-50, and then a couple 100 meters hard. Then I did a couple easier, longer reps with the buoy in between my legs, and I feel like that would suffice for today. It was a pretty big day, and I still need to strength train. One thing, my lats from doing 100 pull-ups, I'm starting to do 100 pull-ups, 100 push-ups 3 times a week. I could 100% feel the effects of the pull-ups in the swim. Just finished up that little strength workout, so I'll post it up on the screen here. This is from one of my programs on my company's website, Pronghorn Running Company. It's the express version, and it's a very short workout, so it took me like 15 minutes, and that's what it's designed for, because it's already been a really big day, but I don't want to neglect my strength training. Workouts are complete for the day. Last thing to talk about is the swim. It's been said before that you can't win a triathlon in the swim, but you can for sure lose one. You're definitely going to need your tri-suit. And then also, let me pull it up real quick because I don't have this memorized. As far as the Ironman goes, the regulations for wetsuits for Waco is as follows. Below 60.8 degrees, a wetsuit is mandatory. Typically, you'll wear the wetsuit over your tri-suit so that when you get out, you just take it off, you get your stuff for your bike, and you go on your bike, leave your wetsuit. Now, at 60.8 degrees Fahrenheit up till 76.1 degrees Fahrenheit, that's where wetsuit legal is. Now, when I say wetsuit legal, I mean that's for everybody. That's for pros, open, everybody. Now, at 76.1 degrees, you can wear a wetsuit from 76.1 degrees Fahrenheit to 83.8 degrees Fahrenheit. However, you're not going to be in contention for any age group awards or anything like that. So basically, if you're just trying to finish the triathlon and you want a little bit of assistance from the wetsuit because it's buoyant, that would be a time for you to wear it. Now, it's going to take you out of contention for age group awards and all that other stuff. So if that's something that is important to you, don't need to be wearing the wetsuit in that temperature. Now, above 83.8 degrees Fahrenheit water temperature, wetsuit is prohibited, so you cannot wear a wetsuit. Other than the tri-suit, you have your wetsuit, which is going to be temperature dependent in the water. Right now, I currently do not have one. The wetsuit optional level is about the average temperature of Waco. So I may just be a little bit cold and have to go without one, but I'm not going to spend money on one right now. You need a swim cap, which typically these are given to you by whatever organization is hosting the triathlon or event. So for Ironman 70.3 Waco, Ironman will be giving us our swim caps that we must wear in the water. Now we can wear ours underneath, but I'm just going to wear the one they give us. Another thing is goggles. You do not have to wear goggles, but I would wear goggles. It's not going to be any fun swimming without goggles. Think about bringing an extra pair of goggles too, in case something happens to yours. Another thing that I wear is earplugs because I don't want to have swimmer's ear, so I wear earplugs. You can wear those, and then also a nose plug, which never heard of until the other day when I was looking at Ironman rules, but I don't swim with a nose plug. But that's another thing that you can wear. These are all going to be the things that you wear for a swim. It's really going to require the least amount of equipment, in my opinion. Pretty much what you need for a triathlon. I hit on some big things that you can incorporate, and I also hit on the minimum things that are required for most triathlons. But as you can see, it's very extensive. So unlike the sport of running, it does require equipment. It does require some investment in the equipment. I hope this helps you if you're trying to get prepared for a triathlon or an Ironman. And always do your own research. Look at the rules, the regulations, and the athlete handbook for whatever triathlon you're looking at doing. But about to go into 2 weeks out, and I'm excited for the taper. I'm excited to see what I can do at Waco. I don't have a time goal. I do have expectations for what I want to get around, and I also have expectations for the run portion. But besides that, I'm going into it to have fun, give it my best effort, and the Dallas BMW Marathon is really where the goal is for the end of the year.